Hello friends and enemies, it's me Isabel here with your new Romancelandia monthly, and my god y'all, so much happened in February and I almost probably could have done a mid-month update, but we didn't and it's fine. So we're here and we're gonna do it now. If you're new here, I do these every month, give or take, with everything that's going on in Romancelandia. Obviously, I'm gonna miss stuff. I can't see everything, but I do usually catch, I feel like, a large majority of items. We're gonna kick this right off with the shit show that was at Jessica Tescher on TikTok. She, like the end of January, was arguing with people on TikTok that she can write a book with 2 black characters and speak to the issues black women face as a white author. And like, she didn't just say this, like she doubled down, she tripled down on this statement, and I will put her book cover up here so y'all can see it and know to avoid. It's called Blind Fate, and yeah, she like straight up argued to the point of eventually nuking her entire account on TikTok and everywhere, so she's like vanished. She tanked her book reviews to a 1 on Goodreads, and it just was wild. You know, if you see this book, just don't. I don't know if you're gonna see it. I feel like something with a 1 on Goodreads isn't really getting pushed around in the mix. But I just could not believe that we hadn't even entered Black History Month yet and she was doubling down that hard on this. You're gonna listen closely to this, okay, please? I please listen. Because this is a thing that is not happening anymore, but that happened in February. Because I don't want people to like run out and take action in a way that doesn't benefit authors or isn't like beneficial to them when we talk about what happened. So in February, a lot of authors woke up one Sunday morning to their books taken off of KU. And this caused a scramble and a lot of upsets, rightfully so. A lot of the books were removed for piracy. Some of the books were removed for like cover copyright, like trying to claim the author doesn't own copyright to the covers. And something you need to know about in general, like the way KU patrols things and the like way various bots patrol things to take down for copyrights, it's all bots. Like, it's not a human being doing this, generally speaking. Like, there are bots that troll YouTube videos and make copyright claims that have no right to the copyright of the item. Like, that's a thing, and that happens on all platforms. So you need to know that. Like, be aware if this is a situation. But also, Amazon has bots that troll like Google search and stuff and find pirated copies of books. Those books are pirated off of Amazon, so that's a whole other thing. But either way, those books are pirated off of Amazon and uploaded to other sites, sometimes to iBooks even, the Google Play Store, like all kinds of places. And when an author is in KU, they have to be exclusive to KU. So they're not allowed to what they call go wide. So that would be being offered on various platforms. But to be in KU specifically, where a lot of authors make their money, you have to not be wide. So your book cannot be available anywhere else but Amazon and on KU to either buy or check out. So you need to know that context. So a bunch of authors that are very popular on Book Talk, and you know, I'm sure some that are less popular, just their books were gone, including people like Samantha Knox, who was hit for, I believe, a cover copyright situation that was weird. We also had the Daughter of No World's author's book was taken down. So the piracy, of course, restirred up the piracy conversation, which I'm not going to dive into here because I have talked about it before, and I feel like as someone from the global north, it's a very hard discussion to have, and I just think it's such a complicated issue, more than just downright like don't pirate things. Like, I think there's so much more to it, and there's a lot. So those authors were kind of like figuring out what they could do, and it was kind of very loosely held together. I do, you know, some inspiration obviously came from Harper Collins situation, and I understand that, but I also think that it just like, it's not broad enough to fight Amazon for just some KU Book Talk authors to get together and do this. You really do need the backing of like a writing guild or something like that, because that is how we got the changes that were made to the return policy on ebooks. You can no longer return an ebook that you've read all the way through to Amazon. Like, things like that, those changes were made because of writing groups and guilds. So I think that authors would be better served to do that and push for these KU changes through there, versus this kind of hastily organized strike. This then led to readers saying they're going to cancel their KU in protest. And I want to talk about why this is like the worst idea ever, because I don't think a lot of people understand what KU is to Amazon. KU is a loss leader in the market, right? They take a loss on the money for KU because they are able to bring so many more people into their platform via KU. You know, the hope is you read the book, you buy it physically, you buy other products. Amazon has always been kind of a loss leader with books. They don't make a ton of profit on books. They're making profits on the other items they sell on their store. But it literally is just a product sold at a loss to attract customers to your storefront, whatever you want to call it, your website, anything. Like, you want to get people in the door so they buy other things. So KU is 100% a loss leader for Amazon. And that's part of the strictness with it probably too, you know? So the way Amazon does it is they take all the money that is paid into KU for that month and it's put in a pot. And Amazon takes their cut off the top of that pot. So no matter what happens to KU subscriber numbers, Amazon gets their money. You canceling KU, which was what some people were going to do to support the authors, doesn't matter. Amazon's still going to get their cut of that KU pot, right? So they're going to have this like little ball of money that they got going, and they slice off the top and that goes to Amazon. The rest of that ball of money gets distributed per page read calculations to the authors. So that's going to vary month to month, and I do think it's like probably a 60 or 90-day lead time to get that money. So no matter what, Amazon gets paid with KU, and they're going to make what they need to make off of it. And authors' page read calculations are just going to go down if a bunch of people mass cancel their KU in protest of the way that they're continuing to remove books that are being pirated and, you know, blaming the authors and acting like a pirate site is the same thing as an author trying to sell their book elsewhere. So they kind of got it together, and the authors put together a petition for KU policy change. And then readers, they recommended that we email Kindle Unlimited and talk about how the policy where they remove books for piracy is affecting them as readers and affecting their enjoyment of the service. Because at the end of the day, Amazon wants us on Amazon checking out our KU books, so we buy other things, right? And every company wants satisfied customers. So if we say we're dissatisfied, things are more likely to happen at the end of the day. Yeah, this whole thing was wild. I think it went down within about 24 to 48 hours on TikTok. And I was just following it like, this is a disaster. But again, I think it's hard to realize how big the author space is outside of Book Talk, because I'm not saying people don't realize it, but I feel like people forget that Book Talk's not the only place authors gather. And again, that there are so many good resources out there for writers as far as joining different guilds. And that's really the best choice. I think if writers would join more writing guilds, they can help push those policies at Amazon to get them fixed, like the ebook return policy. And I think also they could help fight back how easy it is for pirated books to get uploaded to places like iBooks. Like, it is wild to me the amount of times I've had authors like post like, this is not me, don't buy my book here, my book is only available in KU, this is a pirated copy. Where like, if you went to Amazon to buy it, it's $4.99 and they're charging like $9.99 on the iBook store. It's wild. Why is Apple allowing this? I don't know, but they should be fixing it. So that was the KU strike. If you heard like rumblings about it, that's what was going on. Again, do not cancel your KU right now. There's nothing we can do besides email Amazon and discuss our dissatisfaction as a customer with the fact that books we want to read keep getting taken down. That's your best bet right now. If anything changes, I will let you know. All right, next we are going to talk about a book cover that was released and had a really not great tagline. I saw the cover, like, okay, this is like the epitome of like Romancelandia for me sometimes. I was like, oh my gosh, this cover is so cute. I can feature it in like a positive way. And then I like started reading the cover. And then I read that tagline. And I was so mad. Y'all, I was so mad. So Clare Ashton has this book called Meeting Millie, an Oxford Romance. It has a Lenny Kaufman cover who like I adore. Like they're super cute on the cover, right? And the tagline, as you could see, because I grabbed the old cover. Because of course I did. Listen, I screenshot always, almost, or save. So that original tagline said, can two women, one straight, one gay, be friends forever? Or will sex get in the way? So not only are we like erasing like finding your queer identity as an older adult, potentially like, or at college age, right? Like discovering your bi or pan or queer or whatever label you desire to use. But we're also like leaning hard on the predatory lesbian trope, which is it's just weird because the author writes pretty much only sapphic books from what I can tell. So it just was kind of upsetting to see on a tagline and on a cover that's so beautiful. But I'm also concerned, what's inside the book that warranted that tagline, you know? Like, was it just like a snappy thing you thought and you didn't like fully think through the consequences, which is what Clare Ashton said in her apology tweet, which I'll link down below. That's what she said. Like, she didn't fully think about the ramifications of what was in the tagline. But I'm concerned about the contents of the book now more than I would have been without the tagline, because again, it just seems weird that you can just take the tagline away and there's not issues in the book. So we'll see. I'm very curious when it comes out. I will probably pick it up and let y'all know what I find. It also kind of gave me that Imogen Obviously book from Becky Albertalli that's coming later this year vibes, where like she's like friends with a bunch of gay people and is part of the Gay Straight Alliance and all these things, and then discovers she's also queer or bisexual, whatever label, or pansexual. You know, she discovers that there's more to her than she realized sexuality wise. And I think that's really great. This is a YA title though. But it feels like that potentially Meeting Millie had a similar potential for the vibes here. So I'm very curious. I'm very curious to see. But yeah, that was just kind of disappointing at the end of the day, in my opinion. If you're new, you may not know about this time, but a long time ago in the Romancelandia lore, there was a lawsuit over the word cocky. This author, Felina Hopkins, attempted to copyright the word cocky, and RWA and a bunch of people fought it. In fact, we had the Cocky Gate anthology and authors making books with cocky in the title just to troll her, because she wanted to copyright it for her series, The Cocky Brothers or something. So, Felina Hopkins, the author in this lawsuit, was arrested in Grand Teton National Park on January 27th and then went missing on like January 30th. So that's wild. And this lawsuit was in 2018, y'all. Apparently her charges are stopping or parking on the roadway, operating in excess of the posted speed limit, and fleeing or attempting to elude police. This was just wild. Like, when I saw this the morning that the news like had come out, or like the next day, I was like, this is what? And then she was found February 18th. They tracked her down in Hawaii. So that's wild. She was located like literally about 18 days later after being released from jail. She's safe. But yeah, they managed to find her at the Jackson airport in Wyoming on the 30th cameras, and then were able to ping her phone and find her in Hawaii. This was so weird. Like, I honestly, February was wild. Just on a vacation after running from the cops. Makes sense. Listen, this is, I had to include this because it honestly boggled my mind, and then I couldn't believe we got a conclusion within like 18 days. So, all right, continuing on from romance novelist on the run, we need a quick refresher on a notoriously badly behaved romance author that, look, I don't expect people to know. I know that not everyone's going to know this, so I always feel like a refresher isn't a bad thing. And right now is the perfect time because they have a movie coming out, and that's Jamie McGuire. Y'all, the author of Beautiful Disaster is a shit show. The receipts of her behavior go very, like, far back. When George Floyd was murdered in 2020, that summer, she was openly, like, pro what happened. She proudly supports Kyle Rittenhouse, or whatever the fuck his name is. That guy, loves him, is all over Parler, is a very vocal Trump supporter, anti-vax. Just not a good person, y'all. So, yes, we do have a romance movie coming out for this book. This book also has some really questionable things in it. I liked it when I read it back in the day, like way back in the day in my beginning romance journey. But as soon as I found out about who she is as a human, I was out. And I only read that one book. And even that, I was like, this is so melodramatic and like ridiculous. So, just so you know, if you don't want someone who has really dangerous beliefs to get your money, don't see the Beautiful Disaster movie. Don't give it money. She's a writer on it, so I don't know that she only got a lump sum payment. But yeah, the trailer dropped and I've just seen a lot of hype for it, and bad news. She's bad news. We don't need to give her money, and we don't need to give her attention. All right, and then we're just going to call this section, Why Are You Being So Hateful? And I laughed because it was just like really weird. So first up, in early February, a couple authors I follow, like Molly Doyle, Dakota Wilde, dropped out of Book Lovers on the Rock, which is in like Rockford, Illinois, I think. Something like that. So they dropped out and were like, I stand with trans people and the LGBT community. What is going on? And I still cannot find solid receipts like that you can actually read of this interaction, like of what happened. If I could, I would be sharing them with you now. But I do think it's just kind of like important to note that the organizers of this event, from the sounds of it, basically made transphobic comments and didn't want to deal with it and didn't want to have repercussions for it. So a lot of authors dropped out of the event who disagreed. So that was why you saw some of those posts. Then, literally recently, as in the last week, you may have seen posts talking about my page is a safe space for LGBT people and like I support the LGBT community and all the things. Like all the things, right? And I was like, what on earth is happening? Like, who posted what on Bookstagram? And I don't know that these are all necessarily romance related, but I just figured I would include it because I saw it in my romance Bookstagram space. This Bookstagrammer, I'll put up the story here. They're private, so don't worry about it too much. They posted that their page is not a safe space for anyone part of the LGBTQIA+ community, and that, you know, you're welcome to your opinion, but they don't accept you. Which just wild. Just absolutely wild. Then this author, Dana Pretolia, something like that, I'll put up her post, put up that her page, I should not laugh at this, but this post is so funny to me. And I don't know. It just feels like such a bad, like, attempt. God-ordained marriage, i.e. the love between a man and a woman, is safe on my account. It's like, nobody's threatening that. Like, there's no threat anywhere to men and women getting married, y'all. Like, that, what? Like, just, yep. She's not, like, a prolific author in any sense of the word, but I just, the image, the whole thing, it's just, why? Like, why? Why do you have to be so hateful? Also, her literal, like, Instagram bio says she's pro-life, so, like, unsurprising. You know, people telling themselves all the time, and you just have to watch for the signs, and you'll see them. But this, like, retro post, I just was like, Lord, have mercy on me, because I cannot handle these people. And then we kept going. Like, again, this just was a theme for whatever reason. Another smaller author named Kendra Thomas, who's attempting to, like, fund her book publishing, commented on another creators. I'll link to her TikTok down below. TikTok where she's calling her out because she posted being upset about anti-trans and like laws to remove books from the library and all this stuff. And she commented, good for them, like agreeing with it. And I was just like, why, what is going on? Like, people have been so hateful for no reason and so bigoted this month that I, honest to God, am just like, what are y'all doing? What? I don't understand. Like, I expect this, like, in November. Honestly, I expect a lot more, like, shitty takes on romance in February than we got. So, there's that. So, yeah, there's a lot of people being hateful that you might want to be aware of, so you're not following them, you don't pick up their books. Or I guess if you really agree with them, go for it, but probably not the right YouTube page for you over here. Then we did have a really interesting thing happened where the Rolling Stones covered monster romance. So a few months back, I don't remember what month, I can link it down below for y'all, but I talked about this situation a while ago with Tiffany Roberts and Melissa Blenko and the plagiarism between the two books. I have not compared the works. I cannot testify to what is or isn't there, but enough people have said that it's plagiarized, like, from Tiffany Roberts' books, that I'm like, red flags, you know, like red flags. But anyways, they talked about Melissa Blenko and that whole situation and her like stealing stuff from Tiffany's books and art directly and all these things. So that was interesting. I was just really surprised to see the coverage. I did see a lot of mixed reviews on how quotes were used in the thing and how they weren't really told what the article was about. But I will still take this because it did feel like a predominantly positive article towards romance and not like a sneering, like, ew, monster fuckers, you know, which was the potential. So if there's snoring in the background, Miss Millie is out on this couch. It is very cute, and I will throw a picture up before we talk about the next item. I'm not gonna wake her, okay? Our girl needs her rest. She needs her beauty sleep. It's rough out here, laying in the sun all day. All right, let's talk about a Twitter alternative that came around publicly accessible. At least it left beta recently, and people were able to join, and that's Spoutible. And I just kind of want to give a quick FYI to the fellow romance readers out here who are possibly watching to see where Romancelandia Twitter kind of migrates to in the future. I'm hoping we find a good alternative soon. I've joined a couple of them. So far, I think Hive's my favorite. But Spoutible banned a romance author for some promo. Here's the promo. And Courtney Milan also investigated their terms of service and noticed a lot of vagueness around what is pornographic content definitions here, and around in general definitions in their terms, of what things were. So vague things, and that is never good, right? Especially as a romance community, we want to know, are we going to get banned for posting a clinch cover? What is considered pornographic? So we had some fun discussions happening. I'll link to some of those tweets. We even had a lady named Karen Sunshine telling everyone to keep their porn off of this platform that they sometimes let their grandchild just scroll on unmonitored. So, makes sense. Makes sense to me. Courtney Milan was told by people to approach the founder of Spoutible and offer assistance on the terms of service stuff. Their response was no thank you and kind of a fuck you, and were very mean to her, in my opinion, honestly. It was uncalled for. Listen, I know not everyone's gonna know Courtney Milan's background as far as her being a former Supreme Court clerk and her law backgrounds, but the way in which they responded was very just disrespectful and ridiculous, and then they just got mad. And then Romancelandia, rightfully so, on Twitter was kind of what the fuck is up with this? We would like to know so we know if we're welcome or not. And they're like, of course you're welcome, but literally a bunch of people got banned just for asking questions. So I'm just gonna say maybe steer clear of Spoutible, y'all. I for sure am. I only made an account and never did anything else, so there's that. All right, the other, I guess we'll call it, this is good news for some. I'm indifferent on it, but Black Dagger Brotherhood was picked up by Passion Flix, and if you know me, you know I'm not the biggest fan of the series. And I just y'all, how are they gonna make the Matrix sexy? I don't know. The couple I've read, I literally envisioned weird Matrix things because of the way they wear these leather trench coats. I too lived through that time period, and I also have worked at video game stores and places, and I know the guys that wear the, and I cannot, y'all. That's just not it for me. So I'm just wondering how that's gonna work, but I'm curious overall to see how it plays out. I think it's interesting that Passionflix is the platform that picked up this series. I do think it's kind of a series that's been kind of ripe to be grabbed and turned into a TV show for a long time. But I have some hesitations with who the founder of Passionflix is. It is Elon Musk's sister, if you're unaware. I haven't really watched anything on Passionflix yet either, so maybe at some point I'll get a trial and I'll watch a bunch of stuff once Black Dagger Brotherhood's out. I might just watch a whole bunch. I don't know. I'm just this is interesting. I'm curious, but also Matrix fashion but sexy is what I'm envisioning. And I don't know what that means, but I can't wait to see how that's translated on page. Especially some of the dated references in the books. I wonder how much of that, I'm curious. All right, we're going to move right into all the positive things to close out this month's Romancelandia, because we actually had quite a bit. So first things first, Bramble imprint is launching at Tor, which is going to be their speculative romance fiction imprint. And I'm really excited about this. So that means fantasy, sci-fi, any of that sort of romance fiction they're going to be publishing. And I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful. September 2023 is our first book, which is a Jennifer L. Armentrout book, which less excited for. Another book they have slated to come out in November is Calamity, which is a space romance debut by Constance Fay. And the first ever paperback for Olivia Blake's Alone with You in the Ether is in October. And then Ocean's Echo from Everina Maxwell is another one that they picked up. So we've got some titles happening already. So very curious to where this is going. I'm hopeful that we are about to get a nice influx of really good speculative romance, because I love I love me some speculative romance, so that's exciting. Then, more exciting news, Harper Collins Union ratified the contract. They are back to work as of me filming and posting this. I will link to the tweet where they go through everything that they got out of the negotiations, if you're curious. But it's exciting. I'm excited to be able to talk about Harper Collins titles. I've got a bunch of Harper titles that I wanted to read in the last month, and I didn't because I didn't want to not be able to talk about them. So you're probably going to see a lot of Avon and Harlequin and some stuff pop up here. Then we also have the Swoon Awards happening right now. So if you don't like the Goodreads Choice Awards, here we go. Go vote in the Swoonies. I really like the Swoon Awards. I think they do a really good job like pulling in from the community to get votes on books, and how they run it is really interesting to me. You can vote like 3 times per category usually at the later end. So if you haven't voted yet, be sure to go vote. There's quite a few options, and I think it really spotlights indie romance wonderfully. If y'all want me to do a live where we vote, let me know. I'm happy to, because I honestly haven't voted yet either. So, and then last but not least, in our positive news, we had a really great article from NPR about Charm City Books in Baltimore and their romance book club, and it was just really cute and sweet, and they just talked about romance books and why people love them, and I really just was like thrilled for some good coverage of romance books, because often in February I feel like we're all like on guard and ready to fight because people really have bad takes about romance usually in the month of February, and we didn't really have any of those this month, so that's nice. But that's it for this month's Romancelandia. If you think I missed anything, let me know in the comments. And if you don't want to do that, you can leave me a sleepy emoji, because Millie is seriously out like a rock behind me, and it's so stinking cute. And if you need links to any of that stuff, or want links to be my friend anywhere on the internet, or you want early access to Romancelandia, you can become a member. All that stuff is down there in the description box, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye!
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get